submit, League.
What's going on, YouTube? Got another build guide for you here today, and this one's been a lot of fun. This is the Poison Huntress Amazon, and we have a ton of damage. We don't really scale poison damage. We scale a lot of big hit damage and crit damage, which in turn gives us really powerful poison. So it's really nice. We don't have to commit any of much of our passive tree to poison. It's all just committed to physical damage and critical strike chance, critical strike damage, all that kind of stuff. So we only apply one poison. We don't scale a lot of, we don't stack poisons. We only scale one. And then we kind of use poison more as a utility than the damage dealer, right? Because the poison allows for our toxic growth to explode more quickly and with much more damage, right? So the explosion can explode with up to 300% more damage if poisoned, up to that point, right? So depending on the power of your poisons and all that, you will get more damage out of your explosion. So as we throw that out, we shoot the boss, it poisons, they detonate right away for really big damage. And that's basically how this works. Occasionally we do use a vine arrow just to keep things away from us, or maybe something's chasing us down, or we're in a map or a mob has haste and it's really fast, or against bosses. You can throw this down and it helps. The last thing would be we also have some form of shock. We do not use wither because we're not necessarily worrying about the poison damage. We're more concerned with hit damage. So as you're leveling, you're going to be using Mirage Archer with Lightning Arrow and whatnot. And this is all, let me just explain, this is all in the Mobalytics. So I break everything down for you guys. Mods to look out for survivability and for damage. You've got mods to look for on jewels, how the build works, basically what I just explained right there. There is two versions. There's the leveling version, which is the starter, and then there's gear and all that kind of stuff for the starter. And then when you get to about level 90, you want to switch over to the Roa, which is fairly similar, but some things change, and we just have kind of some upgraded gear and things like that. So again, the gems change a little bit depending on whether you're on the starter or the endgame Roa. I do not recommend transferring over to the Roa until you have at least 2,000 life and a decent amount of stun threshold. There's a note in the tree that we take that's really, really helpful. So and then again, passive tree is here. It's a little bit different for the end game Roa. There's just some new skill gems and stuff like that, but they're both in here for you guys to check out. The POB, if you actually want to look at the POBs, those are linked in there as well. The POB is a little more. Obviously you can get in there a little bit more and you can actually, see the gems working in action and stuff, or the jewels, working in action. And it's real nice. So those are also in there for you if you want to take a look at those. But yeah, the build's a lot of fun. We'll go ahead and kind of briefly go through skill gems. We have Poison Burst, Corrosion to break armor, because again, it doesn't increase the damage of the poison that's already on that. But as the poison is starting to eat away at the armor, our hits are going to start hitting harder and harder and harder, applying stronger and stronger poison. So you do want to use Corrosion. Bursting Plague, this helps with clear. Heft is just nice damage. Stoicism, this you don't use until you get onto the Roa version. Again, just refer to the version, the skill gems for starter. So these are down here. They're a little bit different. Corrosion, Bursting Plague, Heft, Heightened Accuracy, and Fork. So a little bit different. And then we have Heft, Stoicism, and then we still have Fork. Toxic Growth is Heft, Rapid Attacks, Concentrated Effect, Long Fuse, and Stoicism. I do want to explain Long Fuse. So this is a huge damage increase. And so what this does is it increases the time it takes for your Toxic Growth to detonate. However, your Toxic Growth detonates when it has reached the max amount of poison that it can withstand. So long as you're doing enough damage, all this does is give you 35% more damage. It doesn't increase, nothing increases because it's already going to detonate when it reaches capacity. So as you can see, even though we have 70% increased duration time, see, you poison them, with good poison, they still detonate right away. So you are getting that 35% more damage. It's absolutely massive. So really nice. Vine Arrow, we use Acrimony. Acrimony and Encumbrance are the two, or Slow Potency, sorry, they changed the name, are the most important here. This just decreases enemy life regeneration rate. So it just helps against monsters that have, big regen and things like that. So under the row amount, we use Loyalty, Brutus's Brain, and Minion Mastery. Brutus's Brain is nice just because the minion never dies. It never does any damage, but it never dies. So if you do have to dodge roll off of it to avoid a mechanic, it's not going to get slammed and die. It just kind of runs back over to you. Super nice, super convenient when you just are kind of riding the mount. Barrage, we just use this occasionally just to throw out more. It's really nice against Abyss when the monsters emerge from the hole all at once. You can kind of just barrage and do a lot of damage and kill just about everything right away. Wind Dancer, since we are evasion based, and we use Clarity 2, Precision 2, and Cannibalism. Ravenous Swarm. This is just kind of a quality of life thing. I've just decided that I kind of like it. It's nice, especially against bosses. You can get some maim. You have Slow Potency there. Chaos Mastery. Again, you're not getting a ton of damage or anything out of it. And then Blind. It's just nice to kind of have this is good against bosses as they're running up on you, or as something, a rare runs up on you on a map. You can get some maim and some blind on it, and player for only 30 spirit, nothing crazy. And then lastly, for shock, I mentioned it earlier, we don't use Wither, we use shock. So right now, while you're on Roa, it's self-cast, and you just put it out on the boss, and it puts a big shock and helps damage. As you're leveling, you'll be using Tornado Shot. This is in here. Tornado Shot's kind of nice. You can use this in place of Vine Arrow. I think Vine Arrow is better. This is better for damage. Vine Arrow is just better to stay alive. So I kind of went, we have enough damage, so I went with Vine Arrow. But this is an option if you want more bossing damage. Toxic Domain, this is another thing that we used early. This just allows you to basically apply a pustule while you're standing in the little bloom that you put down. You cast it onto the ground, and then as you shoot, when an enemy is hit by one of your projectiles, not the bloom of Poison Burst, but the explosion of Toxic Growth, or the actual arrow itself from Poison Burst, it'll apply a pustule. Once that has enough damage applied, it explodes, same way Toxic Growth does. So this is just nice damage to have, supplementary damage to have. And so that's that. Again, these are all in and then Mirage Archer, we use Lightning Arrow, and Blind and Chance to Shock, all that kind of stuff. And again, that is in the Mobilytics. So if as you're starting this brand new, you can come in here and see Archer, Toxic Domain, Archer, and then these do change. Actually use they're updated. So those are all in there. Going into the tree a little bit, we'll just use the Mobilytics one here. So game, let's go. We'll start here because this is the one we're talking about. You guys can start with the starter. It's about the same. So there's a node in here, and as I mentioned it earlier as well, that we do scale as much dexterity as possible. And the reason being is this node right here, the Great Boar. This gives us 1 flat life for every 4 dex and 1 stun threshold per dexterity. When you get to about 400 dexterity, that's the equivalent of 400 stun threshold and 400 flat or 100 flat life. So that's a good roll on on a ring or gloves or something like that you can get just by scaling dex. Dex also inherently gives you accuracy. We are on a Huntress, so by scaling accuracy, excess accuracy counts as critical strike chance for attacks, right? It's additive, it's not local, but it's still good and it's very helpful. And having accuracy in and of itself is nice. There's a lot of synergies here. And then again, you're going to put accuracy on your main weapon because you get flat damage out of it. But then you also get the accuracy. On top of that, as you're scaling, you also get attack speed based on 1 attack speed for every 250 accuracy. So as we scale dexterity, which gives us accuracy, which also gives us crit chance, which also gives us life, which also gives us stun threshold. So we're getting a ton of advantage out of scaling dexterity, and I'm sure you would know one of the old nodes, 1% increase attack speed for 25 dex. So there's a million things by scaling dex and that we get out of this build, and it's super nice. And like I said, I'm super happy, and it worked really well. As you're leveling, as you're coming down, you can push like right away when you're, what is this, level 20 or whatever it is, you can push right into these poisons because it is helpful very early when you don't have any actual damage. And then when you start taking some of the damage nodes, some of the fizz stuff up here, you know, this is really powerful. You rush this. After you take this, you take a few defensive nodes, and then you basically rush up to this right here, material solidification. You leave all the crit stuff, and then you come up, rush to this. This didn't. Oh, this is not connected because this has the controlled metamorphosis. So this is connected to the tree. This is allocated without being connected to the tree. But again, and then you rush this, all the physical damage stuff, and then as you start getting your ascendancies, you can start taking the crit and all that other. Deflect, you want to take this right away, you want to take this right away. And yeah, so again, it synergizes really well. And I'm very pleased with how well it worked out. I really like poison. As far as my leveling tree and the one, I just switched over. I'm trying some new stuff. It doesn't feel as good yet, but I actually farmed essences, and I made a lot of money farming essences. So I did put my tree in here for that. And this is the, you know, we have the breach done. We have a couple simulacrum stuff done. We have 3 of the boss done. Very little expedition, and then we have 3 of the 4 rituals done. So we're getting there. We're getting close. I just need to run those things. We've been farming up, getting some money. I need some gear to kind of upgrade and move on. But the build is, we do need to get ourselves another bow. Our bow it's fine, but it doesn't have a ton, you know, it doesn't have attack speed. Like I really am missing attack speed right now. We could have more damage, but this is a nice bow. And eventually, you know, we'll start crafting on another one. But this is like probably my 3rd or 4th upgrade since I've reached endgame. The crafting with all the new Abyss stuff is really powerful, so it's been quite nice. Again, essences also really nice for crafting as you're leveling a new character. So that's that. We went through the gems, the gear. I guess we'll do a quick little overview. Obviously, you're looking for accuracy on your, as much as you can get. This isn't enough, and then physical, crit chance, additional arrows, attack speed. That would be the dream. Basically similar to this bow right here that we used last league, but just no lightning. We would want that to be physical instead, but this is kind of the dream for this as well. So, and then as far as all of our gear, you're just looking for evasion, accuracy, attributes, and then this, gain deflection rating equal to evasion. So this is huge. We try to get this on everything we can. We have it on our chest. We have it on our boots. We don't have it on our gloves, but you know, hopefully we will. I got to replace these. But yeah, same thing. Resistances, evasion, deflect. Here we do have spirit on our body armor, life, evasion, deflect. Boots, resistances, life, movement speed, deflect. So you do need. So with that being said, the gloves are a little bit more difficult to replace because you do need to have physical attack damage leached as life, and then physical attack damage leached as mana. So you do have to have those somewhere. You can have them on the gloves, or you can have them on your rings. You can have them on the weapon as you're leveling or whatever, but obviously you want to get that off. That's a huge wasted slot for your weapon. But it can be on there. Like, you know, we have gained 38 mana per enemy killed, which I absolutely don't want on here, but it's on here for now. So, but you do need some leech, physical, and attack. Then you don't really need to have anything else for in the build. You know, we do use cannibalism, which is helpful, but the leech, we do so much physical damage that it's all good. So, but do make sure you have that. As you can see, we also have dex kind of on every. We have int here, but we have dex on everything that we can. Rings, all that. Our amulet, a little more spirit, +2 projectile. We got life, rarity, you know, so this is pretty nice. I actually crafted this yesterday, so I'm pretty stoked on this as well. As far as our quiver, it's pretty powerful. These are the mods that you're looking for. Flat physical damage, damage with bows, flat accuracy, critical hit chance, attack speed, dex on a visceral quiver. You can also use a penetrating quiver if you want another pierce, which it does feel pretty good to have a pierce in there with the fork. Your clear is much better when you do. But again, it's helpful to have the crit chance implicit on a visceral. Belt, life, resistances, same old, same old. For charms, I use the freeze charm, the stun charm, and the poison charm. And our last ascendancy is the last one that we take is Asmiri Brew. So basically, whether we use a life flask or a mana flask, we get both. So pretty nice. There's not much else. If we ever ended up moving to like some unique body armor, then I think we would probably take this. But for now, this works pretty well and feels pretty good. So that's that. I don't, if you guys have any questions, leave a comment, all that. I will be trying to stream as often as I can. I've been working a lot lately, so I've been doing my best to get the guides out and all that kind of stuff. Apologies for maybe not being on as much as you guys would like for, to help and all that. So, but I'll do my best, post in Discord, message me if you see whatever. But leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's it, guys. Appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.